What if the reason you feel like this has nothing to do with failure? What if you're not lost, not broken, just tired? Not the kind of tired sleep can fix, but the kind that sits deep inside you, quiet but heavy, the kind that follows you everywhere, even when nothing seems wrong on the outside, but inside, something just doesn't feel right. There are days you wake up and everything looks normal. Nothing is really falling apart, nothing is clearly wrong, but inside, something feels off. You can't explain it. You don't even know why. You just feel like you're carrying something. You can't put down, something invisible, but always there. You go to work, you talk to people, you smile like everything is fine, but deep down, you're exhausted, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, like you've been holding everything together for far too long, without rest, without pause, without anyone really noticing. And maybe you've prayed before, not always out loud, but quietly, in your heart. God, what should I do? God, why does this feel so heavy? God, are you even there? And then, nothing. No clear answer. No sign. No sudden change. Just silence that slowly makes you question everything. Little by little, and you begin to wonder, is something wrong with me? Maybe. I'm not strong enough. Maybe. I'm not faithful enough. Maybe I'm the problem. But what if that's not true? What if you're not weak at all? You've just been strong for too long, without giving yourself a moment to breathe. Your mind never stops. Thoughts keep running, worries keep repeating, pressure keeps building. Even when you try to rest, you can't really switch off, because inside, everything is still moving, still loud, still heavy. And no matter what you do, you can't seem to find a real moment of peace. So you pick up your phone just to distract yourself, just for a moment. But then time passes, you scroll from one video to another, from one thought to another, trying to escape how you actually feel. But it never really goes away. It just waits until everything becomes quiet again. And you tell yourself, I'll rest tomorrow. I'll deal with it later. I'll be okay soon. But tomorrow feels exactly the same, and little by little, you get used to it. The noise, the pressure, the exhaustion. Even when you're alone, your mind is never truly quiet. Have you ever tried to just sit still? No phone, no music, no distractions, just sit there, even for a few minutes. It feels uncomfortable, almost unbearable. Because when everything outside becomes quiet, everything inside and starts getting louder. And that's why you keep trying to fill the silence, because silence forces you to face what you've been avoiding. But maybe what you're running from is not something to escape, but something you need to understand. Something that's been waiting for you to finally slow down. And maybe that's why you're here right now, not by accident, not by coincidence, but because something inside you recognized this moment. Something inside you needed to hear this, even if you didn't realize it yet. So don't scroll away just yet. Stay here, just a little longer, because what you're about to hear next might not change everything instantly, but it might finally help you understand why you've been feeling this way for so long, without knowing how to explain it. There was a man in the Bible who once felt exactly like this. His name was Elijah. He wasn't weak. In fact, he was strong. He had stood before crowds, seen miracles, and witnessed God's power with his own eyes. There were moments when he was completely sure that God was with him, clear, certain, no doubt at all. But even someone like that can still reach a breaking point. Then everything changed. Pressure came, fear appeared, and the people against him didn't disappear. They grew stronger. For the first time, he felt unstable, not as strong as before, not as steady as he used to be. And slowly, fear began to take over, not just on the outside, but deep inside him, the kind of fear that doesn't leave, even when everything looks quiet. So he started running from people, running from pressure, running from everything that was weighing him down. But here's the truth. You can run from others, but you cannot run from yourself. No matter how far he went, his thoughts followed him, the pressure stayed, and the exhaustion kept growing. Not just physical exhaustion, but something deeper, the kind of tired sleep cannot fix, the kind no one else can see. Eventually, he walked into the wilderness, no one around, no voices, no noise, just him and himself. You would think silence would help, but it didn't. Because when everything outside becomes quiet, everything inside gets louder. The thoughts returned, the fears returned. Everything he tried to avoid came back clearer, heavier, harder to ignore. He sat under a tree, no strength left, no motivation left. He didn't want to fight anymore. He didn't want to keep going. He just wanted everything to stop, not forever, just long enough to breathe again. And in that moment, he said something many people feel but don't dare to say out loud. God, I've had enough. I'm tired. I can't keep going. That wasn't weakness. That was someone who had tried too long, carried too much, and stayed strong for far longer than he could handle. Till there was nothing left. Have you ever felt that way? Like everything is too heavy, like your mind won't stop, like you're still moving, but inside, you're already empty. You don't need a miracle. You don't need more pressure. You just want everything to pause, even just for a moment. Or Elijah felt the same. He didn't ask for victory. He didn't ask for answers. He just wanted to let go. And if the story ended there, it would be heartbreaking. But it didn't, because what happened next wasn't about power. It wasn't about miracles. It was about something much deeper, and it changes everything. What makes this story powerful is not that Elijah fell, but how God responded to him. God didn't blame him. He didn't judge him. He didn't ask, "Why are you so weak?" There was no pressure, no criticism, because God understood something we often forget. This was not the moment to correct him. This was the moment. He needed to be restored. And sometimes, what we need most in life is not an answer. It's not a solution. It's not someone telling us what to do next. Sometimes, what we really need is rest. Elijah was exhausted, overwhelmed, completely drained, and God didn't ask him to be strong again. He didn't ask him to fight. He simply allowed him to stop. Instead of giving him a lecture, God sent an angel, not to explain everything, not to fix everything, but simply to gently wake him and say, "Get up and eat." That's it. No long message, no complicated advice, just eat and rest. It sounds simple, but sometimes the deepest help comes in the simplest form. Because there are times when your soul feels broken, not because something is wrong with your spirit, but because your body has been pushed too far. You lack rest, you carry stress, you keep going, even when you're already empty. And then you think you're weak. But the truth is, you're just tired. Elijah ate And then he slept again. No one rushed him. No one pushed him. No one told him to be strong. There was only silence, care, and space to recover. And then the angel came back. A second time, not with a new message, but with the same simple words: get up and eat. Because the journey ahead was still long. Do you see it? God is not in a hurry. He doesn't rush you. He doesn't force you to understand everything at once. He doesn't expect you to be okay immediately. He is patient, and he begins, not with pressure, but with something simple, giving you rest and giving you strength again. And maybe this is exactly where you are right now. Not broken, not lost, just tired. You don't need more pressure. You don't need more advice. You don't need someone telling you to try harder. You just need a little peace, a little rest, a moment to finally breathe again. And if you feel guilty for being tired, for not being as strong as you used to be, remember this: even Elijah fell, and God did not leave him. He didn't turn away. He didn't abandon him. Instead, he came closer, more gently, slowing everything down just to be with him. And maybe God is doing the same with you, not through something big, not through something dramatic, but through small moments, a moment of rest, a moment of quiet, a moment that makes you pause. Even you being here right now might not be an accident, because sometimes just staying is already a step forward. After Elijah rested and regained some strength, God didn't explain everything. He didn't answer every question. He simply led him forward to a mountain, a higher place, a quieter place. And there, Elijah waited. And what happened next was something most people never expect. Then something powerful happened. A strong wind came suddenly. Not a normal wind, but a force so intense that rocks began to break apart, and even the mountains seemed to shake. The air felt heavy, almost tense, like everything around him was being torn open. If it were you, you would probably think, this is it. This must be where God shows up. Because deep down, we all expect God to appear in something big, something overwhelming, something impossible to ignore. We look for moments that force everything to stop, that leave no room for doubt. But in that moment, even with all that power, God was not in the wind, and that alone changes the way we think. Then the ground began to shake. Nothing felt stable anymore. Everything became uncertain. An earthquake came, strong and violent, impossible to ignore. You couldn't pretend nothing was happening. You couldn't look away, and once again, you would think, this has to be God. But even in that, God was not there. And then, something else appeared. A fire, bright, powerful, impossible to ignore. Its light filled everything around it, pulling all attention toward it, forcing you to stop and stare, and again, you would think, this must be him. But even in the fire, God was not there. Do you see it? Not everything powerful comes from God. This is where we often get it wrong. We expect answers to come clearly, loudly, in a way that leaves no doubt. We think if it's truly from God, it must be strong, obvious, undeniable. But God doesn't always work that way, and sometimes the things that demand your attention are not the things you actually need to follow. And then everything stopped. No more wind, no more shaking, no more fire. Nothing left to hold on to. No distraction, no noise. Just silence. A deep kind of silence, one you cannot escape. The kind of silence that forces you to slow down and finally face what's inside you. In that silence, you can hear your breathing. You can feel your heartbeat, and slowly, you begin to notice the thoughts you've been avoiding, the feelings you've been pushing away, everything that was hidden under all the noise before. And for the first time, you're not running anymore. And then, something different happened. Not a bright light, not a loud voice, not a powerful sign, just a whisper. So soft, so gentle, that if you don't slow down, you could miss it completely. It doesn't force you. It doesn't overwhelm you. It simply waits. And in that moment, Elijah understood God was there. Not in the chaos, not in the noise, not in the overwhelming moments, but in the quiet, in the stillness, in a voice that doesn't compete, that doesn't demand attention, but waits until you are ready to listen. And maybe that's why you don't hear him often. Not because he isn't speaking, but because your life has become too loud, your mind too full. You keep searching for something big, while the answer comes quietly, in a way you almost ignore. And maybe, right now, what you truly need is not another sign, not another answer, but a moment and to slow down, to be still, to listen, just a little longer, because sometimes the quietest voice is the one that changes everything. Maybe this is what you needed to understand today. God does not always speak loudly. He does not always move in ways that are obvious. Sometimes, his voice is so quiet that if your life is too noisy, you might not even notice that he has been there all along, not far away, but closer than you ever realized. And the world we live in now is full of noise. Your phone, constant notifications, pressure from every direction, endless thoughts, worries that never seem to stop. It never really slows down, and little by little, you lose the ability to just sit still, to just breathe, to just listen. So maybe, it's not that God is silent, maybe. You just haven't had the space to hear him clearly. Maybe the answer you've been searching for has already been given, but you were moving too fast, thinking too much, carrying too much, to recognize it when it came. So today, you don't need to fix everything. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to have all the answers. Just pause, even for a moment. Put everything down. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath, and allow yourself to finally be still. And listen, not for something loud, not for something overwhelming, but for something quiet, something gentle, something real, because sometimes the smallest voice is the one that carries truth, the one that reaches you when nothing else can. And if you felt something, even just a little, while listening to this, don't ignore it, because that moment, that feeling, might be more important than you think. Sometimes, just stopping, just breathing, just staying here is already a step forward. So don't just scroll away. Stay connected to this moment, because there will be a time when you feel tired again, when everything feels heavy again, and you will need to hear this one more time. And when that moment comes, you'll remember this place. And if this spoke to you, you already know what to do. Stay, come back, don't lose this, because maybe this wasn't just a video you watched today, but a moment you were meant to find. And right now, God is still speaking to you.